Ladies and gentlemen, season 4 of Invincible has completed, and it is our job today to rank the seasons of Invincible. What season's sitting on the top? Now, we are prepared here with our tier list. However, the rule for the day is that only one season can go in each tier. We can't have 4 S tiers. That's no fun at all. We got to be critical here. So, the rule for the day is one season per tier. So we basically have to rank these. It's not going to be easy. Now, if you look at the IMDb ratings, this is absolutely insane. We're starting off season 1, 9.0, 8.4, 8.1, 7.7, 9.1, 7.6, 9.6, 9.7. So the average is 8.7. Now, the highest rated episode in season 1 is episode 8, which I think is pretty understandable, being episode 8 where I really come from. So this is the one where Mark, finally gets told he's a Viltrumite. It's the big changing moment from Omni-Man being like, obviously we see him kill a bunch of people prior to this, but it's like the big turning moment for if Mark is going to join Omni-Man. And it hits hard. It's got some really impressive voice acting. I won't say much about the animation, but it is solid. I don't know if I would give it a 9.7. A 9.7 seems really strong, especially with the animation. But moving on, the next best rated episode is episode 7. So episode 7 is We Need to Talk, which basically just builds up, Omni-Man trying to have this conversation with Mark. So they're kind of like one and the same. So it's fair that they get, similar ratings. And then we also always have to look at the worst episode in every season. So in this one, we have episode 6. You Look Kind of Dead. I don't think it's necessarily a bad episode. It's kind of like a filler episode. I mean, there's a lot of story building. There's a lot that goes on with D.A. Sinclair. There's some random stuff about Dark Blood that happens. The worst character in the whole show, Amber, pops up. I mean, I honestly think the most interesting part of this episode is when one of D.A. Sinclair's creatures, I don't know what we call this. What do we call these? Actually kills itself after fighting with him. That's probably the most interesting part of that episode. So that's season 1. I think, it's a strong opening season. I do like how we have a lot going on at the end of this season. Season 2 starts out with an 8.1. That's a lesson for your next life. And then the best episodes in this season are episode 4 and episode 8. Okay, so the highest rated episode in this season is It's Been a While. Now, this is a pretty pivotal episode. This is, when Mark gets called for an adventure out in space, and it ends up being Nolan, who has started a whole life with these bug creatures, which I don't even want to ask too many questions about how Omni-Man was married to this, had a baby with this. Not going to ask too many questions. Now, already I kind of have to say, with the best rated episode in season 1 being a life-changing moment between Omni-Man, our entire storyline, and Invincible, and the best episode of season 2 kind of being the same thing, but he has a alien baby mama. I think just based off the first episode, what we can do is we can put season 1 in a higher tier than season 2. Now, we'll continue to look through season 2. The second best episode in season 2 is I Thought You Were Stronger. Now, I Thought You Were Stronger, I hate to say it again, might not be as strong as the 2 strongest videos in season, or 2 strongest episodes in season 1. Now, we have the whole Angstrom holding Debbie and Oliver hostage, which I have to say was a pretty epic moment. There's also the fun Spider-Man crossover. I know it's not Spider-Man, but it is Spider-Man. And we see Mark snap and actually beat someone we think to death. And then the back half of the episode is kind of like this weird filler half with this weird pyramid guy, and then we have Nolan kind of being talked into going back to fight and help Mark and save his family, basically. We're adding a lot of plot in these episodes, but they're not technically as good as the season 1 best episodes. And the worst episode in this season is in about 6 hours, I lose my virginity to a fish. This is like the definition of a filler episode. There's some weird stuff at the beginning with Mark graduating and Doc Seismic pulling up. And then at the end, Mark has to go fight this big fish monster. Honestly, just like a lose everywhere. So this first ranking is actually significantly easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm actually going to drop season 2 lower because we have 4 total slots, and season 1's best are significantly better than seasons 2, and the worst are not nearly as bad. I mean, the episode is called I'm about to lose my virginity to a fish. Like, how does it get worse? So season 3 is pretty intense. We have 2 9.1s. Season 1 had 1 9.1, and then we have a 9.9 and a 9.7. Again, ending very strong with the average 8.8. So let's start with the strongest. We got episode 8. Now some people call this the Conquest episode, and I have to say 9.9 might be correct. If we're looking at this, season 1 ends up with the Omni-Man fight, which we all know is a hell of a fight. And we kind of have to ask the question, is the Conquest fight better or is the Omni-Man fight better? Now, the emotional side of the Omni-Man fight is intense because, he's betraying his son. But Conquest is an insane character. Oof. That's going to be a tough... Let's look at the second episode. The second highest rated episode is 9.7, which is episode 7. And guys, this might do it. Because season 1 is really strong with 2 episodes kind of being like the same thing. Same like arc of story. Season 3 has 2 episodes at the end here, back to back, where we have very different things going on, very different storylines. One thing I have to say, I'm partial to this episode because I hate Angstrom Levy so much. I detest that man. And this, we get to also see this really creative writing with like the adaptation of the multiple dimensions with Angstrom bringing in all the different Invincibles. Like, this was so creative. And they like ripped on Marvel, but also did it better. So it was actually understandable and fun because the multiverse theory, as Rick and Morty has stated famously, like can get ruined so easily. I mean, damn. This is really tough to beat. You got Mark fighting Marks. You got Eve getting bodied by one of the Marks. You got Invincible tearing apart the Guardians. Dude, I don't know. You got Angstrom playing with all the Invincibles and then pushing them out into different parts of society, and then Mark beating the crap out of... Dude, yeah. Season 3, man. Season 3 is tough. Season 3, bam, on top. Just for now, we might have to make adjustments, but based on the 2 best episodes of season 1 being essentially one arc, and the 2 best episodes of season 2 being 2 very different villains, both written incredibly well. You got Angstrom back to back with Conquest. I think, for me personally, when I was watching the show, there was a little bit of a lull in season 2. I was considering, am I going to spend the time watching season 3? And remember, not a comic book reader here, just going by the shows. 2 incredible villains back to back in incredible fighting scenes. Right now, season 3 is on top. The lowest rated episode here is 7.4, which is this is supposed to be easy. This is very much a filler episode. Mark and Eve fight a dragon. But for me personally, I mean, it's not a terrible episode, but I'm not a fan. Titan comes back to life. It's fine. And that brings us to our final season with an incredible 9.9 at episode 7. Now, obviously, the big part of this episode is where Mark, Nolan, and Alan destroy Viltrum, planet Viltrum. And it's actually really interesting that at the very end of this episode, this is where Thrag spares Mark's life after he destroyed his whole planet with the epic line of like, there are already too few of us. And I have to say, is this the best episode in the season? It seems high. I mean, it is the highest rated episode in the season, but is that really the best one? Don't do anything rash. Let's see. The next best rated is a 9-point anime. We're not dropping off much. The average here is 8.7. Notice the average for season 3 is slightly higher. But Give Us a Moment here. Now, Give Us a Moment has a lot of character building. There's a lot going on here. Eve is pregnant. Nolan revisits Debbie. There's a lot of emotional trauma that's going on in this one. Nolan gets hit with the line, I only dress heroes. And then at the end, Conquest comes back to visit Mark and pulls all his organs out while Mark barely survives. And I think my biggest gripe with season 4 is that I actually don't think these are the best episodes. I think Don't Leave Me Hanging Here is probably... I mean, I know there's a lot of buildup in Don't Leave Me Hanging Here because they're basically on Earth kind of sitting around waiting for the Viltrumites to either reveal themselves or kill everybody because there's like 39 of them left. That episode really hits for me, and I have to say season 4 really ends on a high note with 9-8, 9-1, 9-9, 8-9. But the worst episode in season 4, Herm. This is the episode where they just go to hell and wander around for a while and hang out with Satan. And half the time, Satan is like a little guy. He doesn't even power up until later. And then when he powers up, he loses to a lava lady who ends up getting her face smashed. I think this episode alone brings down season 4. And season 4 might really sit right there. This is the hardest decision. I think pretty straightforward. Season 3 is the strongest. The ending is too good. And then it's just a debate of like, is season 1 or season 4 better? Season 1 builds really well and has a good ending. Season 4... So this is season 4. It's a lot of building because we're building up to the war in season 4 the whole time. Season 1 is also a lot of building, but I think the character development and the overall arc at the end... Dude, the overall arc at the end of 1 is your dad is betraying you. The overall arc at the end of 4 is your entire planet has been infiltrated. That's the hardest decision. I'm going to have to stick with my gut here and say S tier, season 3. A tier, season 1. B tier with... Oh, man, that's really hard because I absolutely love Thrag so much. Is season 4, and C tier is season 2. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my final answer, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say.